The whole police station shook when the glass doors burst open. FBI, hands where we can see them. The shout ripped through the air like thunder. Officers froze mid-step. Phones dropped. Coffee spilled on the floor. A team in dark jackets stormed inside, weapons drawn, eyes sharp. "Where is he?" one of the agents barked. Sergeant Lyle, the man in charge, blinked in confusion. "Who? What's going on?" The agent shoved a printed photo in his face. A scarred white man with a snake tattoo across his neck. "You have our fugitive. He's dangerous. We tracked him to this zone." Lyle looked around, sweat crawling down his neck. We only arrested one suspect this morning. A black male. He fit the description we were given." The FBI agent's face hardened. "That man is a decorated veteran. Where is he?" A scream echoed from the holding cells. The station's fluorescent lights flickered, and in that instant, every officer in the room realized something terrible. They had handcuffed the wrong man. The veteran's voice roared from the back of the station. "I serve this country, and this is how you treat me." The FBI agent shoved past them, running toward the cells, but before he reached the door, a gunshot cracked through the air from somewhere deep inside the station. Everything froze. It had started like any other quiet morning for Malik Harris. The sun had barely risen over the sleepy little town. He sipped his black coffee on the front porch, the steam curling in the cool air. His left leg ached in that dull way it always did when the weather changed, a reminder of the shrapnel from Afghanistan. He breathed deep, trying to shake off a nightmare that had followed him from sleep. Sand, shouting, smoke, the sound of helicopters. He rubbed his temples and whispered to himself, "It's over. You're home." Malik had been honorably discharged 3 years ago. Since then, he kept to himself. Fixed old cars in his garage. Helped his neighbor, Mrs. Johnson, with her groceries. Walked his dog, Duke, every evening down the block. But that morning, something felt off. Across the street, 2 patrol cars sat idle. Officers inside, watching. Malik frowned. He didn't know them. New faces. Their eyes followed him as he stood, stretched, and went back inside to grab his jacket. When he stepped out again, the cars were gone. He shook his head and went about his day. The grocery store was busy. Children laughed in the cereal aisle. A baby cried near the registers. Malik filled his basket with bread, milk, and canned soup. As he waited in line, he noticed 2 men in plain clothes near the entrance. They weren't shopping. They were watching. He felt that old twinge in his gut, the instinct that had kept him alive overseas. Something wasn't right. When he stepped outside with his bags, he heard footsteps behind him. "Excuse me, sir," a voice called. Malik turned. 2 uniformed officers approached, hands resting near their holsters. "Yes, officer?" Malik asked, calm but wary. "We need to ask you a few questions," one said. "About what?" "You match the description of a suspect," the other replied. Malik blinked. "A suspect for what? I just bought groceries." "We can talk about that at the station. Hands behind your back." "What? No, wait." Before Malik could finish, cold steel closed around his wrists. The cuffs bit into his skin. "Sir, I'm a veteran." "You have the right to remain silent," one officer interrupted. People stared. A mother pulled her child closer. A man shook his head. Malik's heart pounded. He felt humiliation burn in his chest. "You're making a mistake," he said, voice trembling. "I've done nothing wrong." But they didn't listen. They shoved him into the back of the patrol car. The door slammed shut. Through the window, Malik saw Duke's leash, still hanging from the rearview mirror of his own truck. He wouldn't be walking him tonight. The ride to the station was long and silent, except for the crackle of the police radio. Malik stared at the cage between him and the front seat, trying to breathe evenly. He thought of his mother's voice, soft and kind. "You hold your head high, baby, even when they don't see you right." But his hands shook. When they arrived, the officers pulled him out roughly. Malik stumbled, caught himself, and squared his shoulders. He wouldn't cry. He wouldn't give them that. Inside, they sat him on a cold metal bench, still cuffed. They didn't explain. They didn't even look him in the eye. Time dragged. He heard phones ringing. Laughter from a break room. the hum of a vending machine. But then something changed. A nervous energy filled the air. Officers whispering, glancing at Malik, then hurrying off. He caught pieces of sentences. Wrong guy. FBI en route. Armed and dangerous. Malik's pulse quickened. He leaned forward. Hey, what's going on? Why am I here? No one answered. Minutes stretched. Sweat beaded on his forehead. His jaw clenched. Then came the sound. Distant at first, then louder sirens. Not local police. He knew that tone. Federal. The front doors burst open with a bang. FBI. Hands where we can see them. The whole station erupted in chaos. And in that chaos, Malik saw something through the bars of his cell. A man in civilian clothes, slinking down a hallway, holding something shiny in his hand. A pistol. Malik's eyes went wide. He opened his mouth to shout, and that's when the gunshot rang out. The crack of the gunshot echoed through the station like lightning splitting a dark sky. Everyone froze. For 1 second, the whole world seemed to stop. Then chaos erupted. Shots fired. Shots fired, someone screamed. Officers dove for cover. Desks tipped over. A coffee mug shattered against the tile. The FBI agents moved in formation, weapons raised, eyes scanning every corner. Malik's heart pounded so loud he could barely hear. He was still cuffed to the bench, helpless, watching the storm unfold around him. His training in the military screamed in his mind, get low. Find the exits. Count every threat. But he couldn't move. Through the small window of the holding area, he saw the man with the pistol slip into a side office. Malik's stomach twisted. That was not a cop. And somehow, they had all missed him. An agent sprinted past Malik's cell, barking into his radio. We have a hostile inside. Lock down the exits. I want eyes on every hallway. Malik called out, his voice hoarse. Hey, he went into the office on the left. The one with the blinds. The agent stopped, startled, then ran toward the door Malik pointed to. A loud crash followed. Another shot. Then shouting. Malik shut his eyes and fought to stay calm. Memories surged, nights in the desert, gunfire raining over his unit, the sting of sand in his wounds. He forced himself back to the present. This wasn't a war zone, but it felt like one. Outside the holding cell, the other officers were frantic. Sergeant Lyle yelled, "Why is he still cuffed? Get him out." But no one moved. They were too busy ducking under desks. Then the door to the side office flew open, and 2 FBI agents dragged out a bleeding officer. "He's hit in the shoulder," one agent shouted. "Where's the shooter?" another cried. "He's gone. Back exit." "No," Malik said aloud to no one. His chest tightened. "They're going to lose him." That's when Agent Brooks, the team leader, stormed in. Tall, broad-shouldered, face set like stone. "Who arrested this man?" he barked, pointing at Malik. Sergeant Lyle stammered, we thought." "You thought wrong," Brooks snapped. "You're holding a decorated veteran, while my actual fugitive is loose in your building." Malik met Brooks' eyes. For the first time that day, someone actually looked at him. "Agent," Malik said, voice steady despite the cuffs. "I saw where he went. He's not gone yet. He's in the maintenance hall. It leads to the back alley." Brooks studied him for a half-second, then barked, "Keys." Now, one of the cops fumbled with a key ring, hands shaking. As the lock clicked open, Malik rubbed his sore wrists. "Sir," Brooks said, crouching to Malik's level. "You've got training, don't you?" "Yes," Malik replied. "Army. Recon unit. 8 years." Brooks' eyes narrowed. "We could use those eyes right now." Malik glanced around at the officers, some hiding, some frozen in fear. He nodded once. "Point me." Brooks tossed him a spare vest and drew his weapon. "With me. We stop him before he gets to the street." Malik strapped on the vest. The cuffs were gone, but the sting on his wrists was a reminder of the insult, the weight of how they had seen him. Still, he pushed the pain aside. Someone dangerous was about to vanish into the city. They moved quickly through the hallway. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, and every corner felt like it could hide death. Malik's senses sharpened. Footsteps ahead. A faint metallic click. The sound of someone reloading. Brooks motioned silently. Malik crouched, peeking around the corner. There, the fugitive, the snake tattoo curling up his neck, his face pale with fury, gun in hand, crouched near the maintenance door. Malik whispered, "He's here." Brooks nodded and raised 3 fingers. 3, 2, 1. The fugitive spun around and fired. Bullets shattered the light above Malik's head. Sparks rained down. Brooks fired back. The hallway erupted into chaos again. Malik dove to the side, heart racing, and saw an extinguisher on the wall. He grabbed it, ripped it free, and slammed it against the maintenance door's lock. The fugitive turned, eyes wide. "Get back!" Brooks shouted, but it was too late. The fugitive lunged at Malik, knife flashing from his other hand. Malik twisted, feeling the blade slice through the edge of his vest, and drove his elbow into the man's jaw. They crashed to the ground, struggling, boots scraping against the tiles. The fugitive snarled, "Should have stayed cuffed, soldier." Malik gritted his teeth, memories of every insult, every false accusation flashing through his mind. Should have picked another town. They rolled, and the fugitive's gun skidded across the floor. Malik saw it spin to a stop near the maintenance door. Both of them scrambled toward it. Malik's fingers brushed the metal, and a deafening roar filled the air as the fugitive's hand slammed down on it too. They wrestled, both gripping the gun, both fighting for control, veins straining, eyes locked. The trigger shifted. Malik felt the cold barrel twist toward him. And then, another gunshot exploded from down the hall. The blast was so loud it rang in Malik's ears, a sharp metallic shriek that drowned out everything for a second. He felt the weapon jerk violently in his hands, felt the fugitive's grip loosen, then slip away completely. The man collapsed backward onto the floor with a grunt, clutching his shoulder. Blood spread fast across his sleeve. Agent Brooks lowered his smoking sidearm, eyes locked on the wounded fugitive. "Don't even think about moving." Malik's chest heaved. His palms were slick with sweat, trembling from the rush of adrenaline. For a split second, he just stared at the man sprawled out on the tiles, the same man the cops had sworn he was. "You're not done with me yet," the fugitive hissed through gritted teeth. He tried to push himself up, his other hand reaching for the knife, strapped to his boot. "Drop it!" Brooks barked, stepping forward. But the man didn't listen. With a sudden burst of strength, he whipped the knife free and lunged, not at Brooks this time, but at Malik. Malik's body moved before his mind could catch up. Training took over. He sidestepped, grabbed the fugitive's arm mid-swing, and twisted hard. The knife clattered to the ground. Malik drove his knee into the man's chest, pinning him down. Brooks was already there, snapping cuffs onto the fugitive's wrists. "You're done," Brooks growled. The fugitive spat on the floor, his eyes filled with hate. Malik finally let out the breath he'd been holding, his hands still shaking. The hallway smelled of sweat, gunpowder, and something heavier, justice fighting through chaos. Outside the maintenance hall, the chaos in the station was easing. Officers peeked over their barricades, stunned, as Brooks and Malik emerged dragging the fugitive between them. "Clear the path," Brooks ordered. Sergeant Lyle stepped forward, face pale, voice uncertain. Is that really him?" Brooks shoved the fugitive into 2 waiting FBI agents. "Run his prints. You'll see for yourself." The agents hauled him toward the exit. Malik pulled the vest off his chest, feeling the sting of the slice where the knife had caught him. It wasn't deep, but the blood seeping through his shirt was enough to make Lyle take a startled step back. "Mr. Harris," Lyle began, voice shaking. Listen, we got bad information. You humiliated me." Malik cut in, his voice low and steady, but carrying enough weight that the whole room seemed to go quiet. "In front of everyone. You didn't ask questions. You didn't care who I was." I'm sorry," Lyle stammered. Malik shook his head. "Save it. Next time, do your job right." Brooks laid a hand on Malik's shoulder. "We'll take it from here. And Malik." Malik met his eyes. "You saved lives today. You didn't have to, but you did." Malik gave a small nod. The anger in his chest was still hot, but somewhere beneath it was something else, a stubborn pride, not for them, but for himself. He turned to leave, but the sound of a phone ringing made everyone freeze again. Lyle answered quickly. His eyes widened as he listened, and the color drained from his face. "What is it?" Brooks demanded. Lyle's voice cracked. "The man you just took, he wasn't alone." Brooks stiffened. "What do you mean?" "There were two of them," Lyle whispered, eyes darting around the station. "And the other one, he's still here." Malik felt the hairs on the back of his neck rise. Somewhere deep in the building, a loud metallic clang echoed, like a door slamming shut. Everyone turned toward the sound. Brooks drew his weapon again. "Seal the exits. Now." Malik's pulse quickened. He knew that sound. That was the heavy maintenance door at the far end of the station. And whoever was behind it wasn't supposed to be there. "Stay here," Brooks told the other officers. He looked at Malik, eyes sharp. "You with me." Malik didn't hesitate. He picked up the fallen knife from the floor and nodded. Together they moved toward the sound, the station lights flickering overhead, the tension thick enough to taste. They reached the far hallway, footsteps soft against the linoleum, ears straining for any noise. Then came another sound, a scrape, like metal dragging across concrete. Brooks stopped short. "You hear that?" Malik's throat fell dry. "Yeah." They turned the corner slowly. Down the dark hallway, a shadow moved, tall, broad, slow. And in his hand, the glint of another weapon. The shadow stopped moving when it noticed them. The dim hallway light caught the man's face for a split second, sharp jaw, hollow eyes, and a cruel little smile that made Malik's stomach tighten. There was no mistaking it. This wasn't some janitor or a lost visitor. This was the second fugitive. The man raised what he held. A black shotgun. "Down!" Brooks yelled, shoving Malik against the wall as a deafening blast tore through the air. Chunks of plaster sprayed like rain. An alarm began to shriek somewhere deeper in the building. Malik dropped to his knees, heart hammering. His ears rang, but his instinct screamed, "Close the distance. Don't give him space to reload." Brooks fired twice down the hallway. Sparks leapt from the walls as bullets chipped at concrete, but the fugitive ducked back behind a corner, laughing low in his throat. Malik crawled forward until his shoulder touched Brooks. "He's trying to get to the parking bay," Malik said, breathing hard. "That hallway leads there. He could have a car waiting." "Then we cut him off," Brooks replied. He motioned toward a side door. "This way." They darted into the side door and burst into a storage room filled with dusty files and cleaning supplies. Malik's boots pounded against the tile, the sound of chaos in the station fading behind them. They slipped out another door into a narrow corridor that ran parallel to the main hall. A single flickering bulb lit the path. Malik felt the old soldier in him waking fully now. Every sound sharper, every breath slower. His knuckles tightened on the knife he still carried. Then, through the thin wall, they heard the fugitive's voice. "I told you he wouldn't make it," the man said to someone unseen, his words muffled but clear enough. "I'll meet you at the south exit. Get the truck ready." Another voice answered, a woman's voice, low and cold. "Don't be late." Brooks and Malik froze. There wasn't just a second fugitive. There was a third. Brooks cursed under his breath. "We're running out of time." They reached the end of the corridor and slipped into the maintenance stairwell. Down below, the heavy echo of boots on concrete told them exactly where their target was heading. Malik whispered, "You go high. I'll go low." "You sure?" Brooks asked. "I've done this before," Malik said quietly, gripping the railing. "I won't let him reach that exit." Brooks nodded once, then split off to the upper catwalk. Malik descended fast, each step thudding softly, his heartbeat matching the rhythm. He could see the shadow of the fugitive moving below, shotgun in hand, glancing over his shoulder every few steps. When the man stopped at the exit door, Malik didn't wait. He lunged from the stairs, boots slamming into the fugitive's back. They hit the concrete hard. The shotgun skidded across the floor. The man snarled, swinging a heavy fist at Malik's jaw. Malik dodged, slamming his shoulder into the man's ribs. They grappled, rolling across the dusty floor. Malik felt the fugitive's hand grabbing for something, another weapon, tucked at his waist. Malik grabbed the man's wrist, twisting it until a switchblade clattered to the ground. But the fugitive was strong, fueled by something darker than fear. He shoved Malik off and scrambled toward the shotgun. Malik dove after him, fingers brushing the weapon's barrel just as the fugitive seized the stock. "Get off me, soldier boy," the man spat, swinging the shotgun like a club. The metal slammed into Malik's shoulder, sending a shock of pain through his arm. Malik grunted but didn't let go. He drove his knee into the fugitive's thigh, trying to break his balance. They struggled, grunting, boots scraping against the floor. Then Brooks appeared on the catwalk above, aiming his pistol down. "Don't move." The fugitive froze for half a second, then threw a small object toward the wall. It clinked as it hit the concrete. A metallic cylinder. Malik's eyes went wide. Flash bang. The blast went off with a blinding flash of white light and a thunderous bang. Malik cried out, throwing his arms over his eyes. His ears roared with static. The world tilted. Through the ringing, he felt the fugitive rip free of his grip and bolt toward the door. "Brooks!" Malik shouted, voice breaking through the disorientation. But Brooks, also reeling from the flash, couldn't get a clean shot. Malik forced himself to his feet, vision still a blur, ears still screaming. He stumbled after the fugitive, out into the open parking bay. And there she was, the woman from the voice. Tall, dark hair, holding an assault rifle. She looked up as the fugitive sprinted toward her. "Where's the other one?" she demanded. Malik stood in the doorway, blood on his shirt, knife in hand. "I'm right here," he said, voice steady despite the chaos. Her eyes narrowed. "Then you can die with him." She raised the rifle. Time seemed to slow. Malik saw her finger tighten on the trigger, saw the faint curl of her lip, saw the gleam of the barrel as it swung toward him. His instinct screamed, "Move." He dove sideways, just as the rifle spat fire. Bullets ripped through the doorway, shattering concrete, spraying dust into the air. Sparks burst from a metal railing as Malik rolled across the floor, shoulders screaming in pain. "Get in," the fugitive yelled to her, grabbing the passenger door of a black truck idling with its engine running. Malik pushed himself up, coughing from the dust. His ears still rang from the flash bang, but his eyes locked on them with razor focus. They were seconds away from disappearing. Not again. Not this time. He sprinted across the parking bay, feet pounding against the ground, weaving between parked police vehicles. Bullets ricocheted off a cruiser's hood as she fired at him, the shots sparking like angry fireflies. "Drive, drive, drive," the man screamed. Malik wasn't armed, only the knife in his hand, his own heartbeat roaring in his ears. But he couldn't let them vanish into the streets. He spotted a stack of road spikes lying beside a supply rack. Without thinking, he snatched them up. The truck's tires screeched as it began to roll forward. Malik sprinted ahead of it, throwing his weight into the motion, and flung the folded spikes out onto the asphalt. The front tires hit them with a loud pop-pop. The truck lurched sideways, the driver fighting the wheel as rubber shredded under the weight. But the woman was relentless. She leaned out of the window, rifle raised, and fired again. Malik dropped to the ground, feeling the wind of a bullet slice past his ear. Brooks' voice echoed from the bay entrance. "Down." A single sharp shot rang out. The woman screamed, her rifle spinning from her hands as a bullet tore through her shoulder. The truck swerved violently, spinning into a concrete pillar. The crunch of metal filled the air. Steam hissed from the hood as the engine died. Malik scrambled to his feet, knife still clutched tight. He saw the fugitive kick his door open, blood on his face, rage in his eyes. "You just don't quit, do you?" The man snarled, pulling a second pistol from his waistband. Malik charged. The man fired once. The bullet grazed Malik's arm, a burning line of pain, but Malik didn't stop. He slammed into the fugitive, both of them crashing against the side of the ruined truck. The pistol clattered away. Malik's knife flashed in his hand. He pressed it to the man's throat, chest heaving. "You're done," Malik growled. The man froze, eyes wide. His breath came in sharp gasps, blood dripping from a cut above his brow. But then Malik heard something. A soft click. Behind him. His heart sank. He turned his head just enough to see her. The woman, still bleeding, but on her knees, holding a small black device in her hand. A detonator. Her finger hovered over the button. "You think this ends here?" she hissed, her voice shaking with both pain and fury. "You have no idea what we've planted." Malik's grip tightened on the knife, but his mind raced. The parking bay, the patrol cars, the fuel lines. "No, please don't." Brooks appeared at the far end of the bay, gun raised, eyes wide as he spotted the device. "Drop it!" Brooks shouted. She smiled a cold, broken smile and whispered, "Too late." Her thumb slammed down on the button. A piercing beeping sound filled the air. Malik's eyes darted to the fugitive beneath him. The man's smirk returned, bloody and defiant. "Run, soldier," the man whispered, "if you can." Malik's stomach dropped as he spun toward the row of parked vehicles. He could already hear the faint whine of a charge activating, somewhere in the shadows of the bay. Brooks screamed, "Everyone out, now!" Malik grabbed the fugitive by the collar, dragging him toward the nearest exit, even as the woman laughed through her pain. The beeping grew faster, and then, from somewhere deep within the bay, came a low, growing hum, the unmistakable sound of a bomb coming alive. The humming grew louder, deeper, like the heartbeat of some giant beast waking under the floor. Malik yanked the fugitive toward the exit, his fingers digging into the man's jacket. "Move!" he barked, though his own legs were trembling from the rush of fear. The fugitive dug his heels in, coughing out a bitter laugh. "You're trying to save me? After everything?" Malik didn't answer. His focus tunneled down to the red exit sign, glowing at the far end of the parking bay. Behind him, Brooks sprinted toward the woman with the detonator. "Where is it? Where's the bomb?" She coughed, blood staining her lips, but her smile never wavered. "All around you." Brooks cursed and grabbed her by the vest, dragging her back even as she laughed, a hollow, broken sound that echoed off the concrete walls. Malik felt heat gathering in the air, the kind of heat you only feel before everything explodes. He spotted a young rookie officer frozen near a patrol car, eyes wide, too shocked to move. Malik shoved the fugitive into Brooks's arms and sprinted toward the rookie. "Go. Run." The kid shook his head. I can't." Malik grabbed him by the arm, hauling him toward the door. "You want to live? Then move." Another beep sounded, louder now. Then another, from the opposite side of the bay. Malik's eyes darted around and saw them, small blinking lights tucked beneath two of the fuel trucks. His stomach flipped. Multiple charges. "Brooks!" Malik yelled. "We've got seconds." Brooks yanked the wounded woman through the exit. Two FBI agents followed with the male fugitive still struggling in their grip. Malik shoved the rookie through the doorway just as a deafening pop sounded behind him. A spray of sparks shot from one of the charges. He dove, hitting the ground hard, sliding across the slick concrete as the first truck went up in a roar of fire. The blast wave slammed into him, throwing him against the wall. His ears screamed with static, his vision blurred from smoke and dust. But through it all, one thought cut through. "Get up. Get out." He forced himself to his feet, staggering toward the doorway. Heat licked at his back as another truck's charge went off, sending a rain of flaming debris across the bay. A tire bounced past him, shrieking as it spun, and crashed into a column with a hollow clang. Malik leapt over a fallen beam, coughing from the smoke. His arm burned where shrapnel had grazed him, but he kept moving, one foot after the other. Through the smoke, he saw daylight ahead, a rectangle of hope. Brooks stood at the exit, one arm outstretched. "Come on." Brooks shouted over the roar. "Come on, soldier." Malik lunged forward, just as a final explosion rocked the ground beneath him. The blast lifted him off his feet and hurled him through the exit like a rag doll. He hit the asphalt outside and rolled, coughing, ears ringing. Behind him, the parking bay was a firestorm, black smoke curling into the sky. Sirens wailed in the distance. Shouts and screams blurred into the chaos. Brooks crouched beside him, grabbing his shoulder. "You okay?" "Malik, can you hear me?" Malik blinked through the haze. His body ached everywhere. His chest heaved with every breath. I'm here," he rasped. "You saved them," Brooks said, his voice hoarse but steady. "You got them all out." Malik closed his eyes for a second, letting the words sink in. But then he opened them again, gaze snapping back to the smoking ruin of the bay. "Did you see her?" he asked. "The woman, did she?" Brooks shook his head. "We dragged her out." He gestured toward the FBI agents, shoving the wounded woman into the back of an armored van. She stared back at Malik, her face pale, lips curled into that same eerie smile. "This isn't over," she whispered through the glass as the van door slammed shut. Malik sat up slowly, ignoring the pain in his ribs. His eyes narrowed. "Who are they?" he muttered. Brooks crouched beside him, looking grim. "That's what we're about to find out." But before Brooks could say more, one of his agents ran up, face pale, voice shaking. "Sir, we just checked the cameras." Brooks stood. "What is it?" "There's a fourth," the agent stammered. "A fourth suspect. He was seen slipping into the second floor during the chaos, and we can't find him anywhere." Malik froze, every nerve going cold. The second floor, that was the main station level, where the officers were regrouping, where innocent civilians sometimes came in to file reports. Brooks swore under his breath and looked back at the smoking bay. "Malik," he said quietly, eyes hard as steel. "Are you ready to go again?" Malik wiped the blood from his cheek and nodded, even as the sound of distant screaming floated down from the station above. "Let's move," Malik said, pushing to his feet. "Before he finds them first." And together, they ran toward the stairs leading back into the station, the echoes of panic growing louder with every step. The stairwell reeked of smoke and metal as Malik and Brooks took the steps two at a time. Above them, muffled shouts and the slamming of doors made the air tight with tension. Malik's mind raced. A fourth one, hiding among the chaos. He felt that old war zone instinct settle over him again. Every shadow a threat, every sound a clue. They burst onto the second floor. The hallway stretched before them, lined with offices and interview rooms. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead, throwing sharp flashes of white onto the pale walls. A trembling officer ran past them, clutching a first aid kit. "He's in there," she cried, pointing toward the far end of the hall. "He's got hostages." Brooks grabbed her arm. "How many?" "I don't know," she sobbed. "I heard screaming, then shots." Malik pushed past them, his boots pounding against the floor. Brooks was right behind him, gun raised, eyes scanning every door. The hallway seemed to stretch forever. Every few steps, Malik caught glimpses through the narrow windows in the doors, empty rooms, overturned chairs, spilled coffee. But not him. Not yet. Then, halfway down, Malik froze. A low, steady sound drifted from a cracked door on the left. A man's voice, calm but dangerous. Malik's breath came fast. "Red. Green. No, look at the solder the insulation scratched." He reached for his knife. Hands shy, a woman whimpered. A child sobbed. Malik's jaw tightened. He crouched low, peering through the crack. There he was. A man with a shaved head, sweat streaking his temples, a pistol in one hand. His other hand gripped the arm of a woman sitting on the floor, her wide eyes wet with tears. Beside her, two small kids huddled together, clinging to each other. Malik felt his heartbeat quicken. Not them. Not here. Not like this. Brooks whispered behind him. "We can't risk it. He's too close to the hostages." Malik whispered back. "I've got a clear line if I move in." "That's insane. You don't even have a firearm." "I don't need one," Malik murmured. "Just cover me." Before Brooks could argue, Malik slipped through the crack in the door, moving like a shadow. The man's back was to him, his focus locked on the trembling woman. "You call anyone," he hissed, "and you'll watch them bleed. Do you understand?" She nodded frantically, tears spilling down her cheeks. Malik took a slow step forward, then another. The room was silent except for the children's sobs and the steady ticking of a wall clock. Another step. The floor creaked. The man whipped around, eyes wide, gun jerking up toward Malik. Malik didn't hesitate. He grabbed a chair by the leg and swung it hard. The wooden frame smashed into the man's wrist, knocking the gun sideways. "Run!" Malik shouted at the hostages. The woman grabbed the children, bolting for the door. Brooks appeared instantly, ushering them out into the hallway, shouting for backup. Inside the room, The man roared with fury and lunged at Malik, tackling him to the ground. The chair clattered away. Malik felt the air punch out of his lungs as his back slammed against the floor. The man's hands went to Malik's throat, squeezing. Malik clawed at them, vision already dimming around the edges. "You ruined everything," the man snarled, spit flying from his lips. "You think you're a hero." Malik's hands searched blindly until they brushed something, one of the metal chair legs. He grabbed it with shaking fingers and swung upward with all his strength. The leg cracked against the man's temple. He grunted, his grip loosening. Malik shoved him off and rolled away, gasping for air. But the man wasn't done. He scrambled for his fallen gun, dragging himself across the floor. Malik lunged, grabbing the man's ankle and yanking him back. They both crashed into the wall, the gun sliding under a table. "Brooks," Malik rasped, but Brooks was outside with the hostages, calling in reinforcements. Malik was alone. The man punched Malik hard across the jaw. Pain exploded in his head, stars bursting in his vision. He felt himself fall back, tasting blood. The man stood over him, breathing hard, eyes wild. He reached into his jacket and pulled something else, a short, black cylinder with wires. Malik's heart stopped. Not again. Not here. The man twisted the top of the device. A green light began to blink. "You want to play hero?" he said, his voice low and shaking with rage. "Then let's both go out in flames." Malik's eyes widened. "No." The man raised the device high. Malik launched himself forward, with every ounce of strength left in his body. The man's arm came down, device in hand, but Malik grabbed his wrist midair. They crashed against the wall so hard the clock above them shattered, raining glass on their heads. The cylinder slipped from the man's fingers, clattering across the floor. Its green light blinked faster now, a soft high-pitched tone beginning to rise. Malik scrambled toward it, but the man grabbed his vest from behind and yanked him backward. "You're not stopping this," the man growled, slamming Malik into the floor. Malik gasped for air, eyes darting to the device. 10 feet away, maybe less. He twisted, elbowing the man hard in the ribs. The man grunted, but his grip didn't loosen. Malik drove his knee into the man's thigh, then shoved upward with a roar, finally breaking free. He lunged for the blinking device, just as Brooks stormed back into the room, gun drawn. "Drop it." Brooks barked at the suspect, but the man didn't even flinch. He lunged too, diving for the device at the same time as Malik. Malik's fingers closed around the cylinder a split second before the man's did. The man's hands clawed at it, trying to rip it away. Malik slammed his shoulder into him, knocking him back, but the struggle sent the device tumbling again, rolling beneath a desk. The high-pitched tone quickened. Brooks swore under his breath. "Malik, can you disarm it?" "I don't know what it is yet." Malik shouted, dropping to his stomach and reaching under the desk. His fingers brushed the device, warm and vibrating. He yanked it out and flipped it over. A timer. Red digits. 00:12. 00:11, counting down fast. Malik's heartbeat roared in his ears. He could hear the children crying in the hallway, the officers shouting, the building itself groaning under the weight of the chaos. The man laughed, a ragged sound. "You're too late." Malik ignored him, studying the wires. 2 red, 1 blue, 1 green. He thought of his training. Basic ordnance, cut the trigger wire. But which one's the trigger? Brooks moved closer. "Malik, get everyone out." Malik yelled. "Now." Brooks hesitated, then nodded, backing out into the hallway, shouting orders. "King," and positioned the blade over the blue wire. The man screamed from across the room. "Don't touch that one." Malik froze. The man's eyes went wide, and for a fraction of a second, panic flashed across his face. Malik's got twisted. He's bluffing, or... The timer ticked. 00:07. 00:06. Sweat ran down Malik's forehead. His hands trembled, but he forced himself to focus. He thought of his unit back in the desert, of the time he cut the wrong wire on a training rig and watched smoke fill the air. He thought of the hostages outside, their terrified faces. He moved the blade. Not the blue. The green. His chest tightened. God, please let me be right. 00:04. 00:03. The man surged forward, screaming. Stop. Malik sliced through the green wire. The timer froze at 0:02. The high-pitched tone cut off. Silence fell like a hammer. Malik exhaled shakily, dropping the knife, the device still warm in his hand. His whole body trembled as he looked at the dead numbers on the screen. Brooks burst back into the room, gun ready. Malik held up the device, his voice hoarse. It's dead. It's over. The man froze in the middle of the room, chest heaving, rage and shock battling in his eyes. Brooks aimed. On your knees. Now. For a second, Malik thought the man might obey. But then that same cold, defiant smile spread across his bruised face. You think it's over? He rasped. You think we're the only ones? Brooks tensed. What are you talking about? They're already out there, the man said, his voice low, almost calm now. You stopped me, but you can't stop them all. Before Brooks could respond, a thunderous crash shook the building, windows shattering somewhere below, screams rising again. Brooks cursed. What now? Malik tightened his grip on the device, a chill running down his spine. Something deep inside him whispered, this was just the beginning. And then the radio on Brooks's belt crackled to life. Agent Brooks, we've got movement outside. Multiple armed suspects, east side of the station, requesting backup now. Brooks's eyes widened. Malik stood slowly, his jaw set, the weight of the day heavy on his shoulders. Let's go, he said quietly. Brooks nodded. Stay close. Together, they sprinted out of the room, down the hallway, toward the new sounds of chaos erupting outside, toward whatever waited for them next.